All right, everybody, welcome to the FFL USA podcast. Today we have two very special guests with us, and I'm really excited about this. Two people that I've known now for 12 years, and they are in the business, and they are killing it. None other than Mac Agabor and Anna Agabor. Yes. A warm round of applause. That is awesome. So, for those that don't know you guys, I mean, we actually go way back, and I've been looking forward to doing this one for a long time because, I mean, Mac, you just barely got licensed with us, and it seems like you sound like $60,000 a month already. And we knew when you started, we were like, if anybody could kill it, it's Mac. So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you ended up here, and then let's just jump into like how you're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, everyone knew I would kill it, but me. It seemed.
Well, Anna knew. she was boosting us all up.
I came from Africa when I was 8, and I've always been taught, work hard, and so we did that and go to school. So I was trying to do that, but with a lot of family, I had my family here, helped my family back home in Africa. So I ended up working a lot harder than I thought, and I ended up in banking. I did that for a little bit with 2 major banks, and unfortunately, I wasn't making enough money, and so I needed to do something else. And one of my banking clients, they came in and they were making this young kid a lot of money, and he said, I asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm in oil and gas, and I jumped in that in North Dakota, and it was cold, of course, is what you thought. But regardless of the negative 30, 40 degree temperatures, working 15, 18 hours a day, I was making 6 figures plus. And it was my home for a while. Did that for about 8 years. And it was great financially, but as a family, everyone knows I have 10 kids. My wife and I, actually, she had the kids. But
well, you said earlier you had 11 kids. And I'm like, no, Anna has 11 kids. You only have 10.
That's true. That's true.
I do.
And I did that for a while, and a lot of ups and downs. I got in a medical situation that I got this tumor that took me out of work for a while. And it really,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was it cancer?
It wasn't cancerous, but it was eating my bones. And
that's bad.
It was bad. I almost had an amputation on my leg from the hip up, and I had radiation, all that stuff. And all the work that I had built up out of debt, we lost it in about a year. And this lady here, Anna, had to go to work, pregnant, working 15 hours a day herself in oil and gas in dangerous situations. So I really give it to her for taking up the gauntlet while I couldn't work.
So you were out there like drilling for oil?
I worked on the rigs, yeah.
Holy crap, you're a beast. Okay, all right, let's just talk to Anna. No. That's incredible. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you were like, they were going to amputate your leg above the hip. That doesn't leave a lot of leg.
It doesn't.
Wow. So that obviously got fixed. It went away?
Yeah, it's still there. I wasn't the same. I got a knee replacement, and I will say it shook my confidence. Everything I'd built. We had a business as well. When you lose your business and you don't go to zero, you go below zero. And especially what I did with my family. I mean, we were fine, and we went from making a lot of money to nothing, to needing help from people. And so I was, I'll be honest, depressed for a long time and didn't know whether I could succeed, had anxiety, and whenever an opportunity came. And eventually we weren't making enough money again. I was able to get back on my feet and went back into oil and gas. And unfortunately that tanked recently. And after about 8 years, I said, what am I doing? This up and down is just not right. This time I really put my family first. And so we went from North Dakota and moved down to Arizona to kind of settle down. And the settling was great. We loved Arizona. We loved the life as a family. But unfortunately, when you have 10 kids, you need finances to make it work.
Money. Yeah.
And luckily, we had a friend named Joseph Miller, and he connected with Anna. I was very skeptical. He'd been doing Family First for a while. I know he was doing good. But I had PTSD. I'd done other deals where I was let down. I did well. But a lot of things happened that unfortunately left me wanting more. The people that I had, I wanted to win, weren't winning as much, and a lot of other things. So I kind of resisted Joe. And so luckily Joe was smart enough. He hired my wife as an employee to help with his business. And she saw the numbers, and she's, of all people in our family, our accountant. She does numbers for fun. And
nice.
So she saw all the numbers, and she said, babe, you got to look at this. I said, no, I'm fine. I was actually driving a truck, doing about 70 a year here. in Arizona. And she says, no, babe, you need to look at this. I said, I'm good. And she kept tugging at me, and you need to look at this. And so I looked at it deeper, and I was still skeptical. So Joe, he actually hired me as an employee as well to do a lot of the interviewing. And I saw it enough where I said to myself, put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Put me in. And I went in, and I didn't know anything about insurance. I just said, you know what, if these guys can do it, I can try.
That's right.
And so I did it. First month, I did 15 grand, not knowing anything about insurance.
Now, when you say 15 grand, I know there's people that watch that and they don't know what that means. Like, if your commission's like 100%, which I think everybody's commission's probably higher than that. I know you've earned higher than that now for sure. Mm-hmm. But what does that look like as far as like deposits in your bank account?
Great question. Anna?
Yes.
She's the accountant.
So in October, he still wasn't quite full time, but I think that put right around 10 or 12 in our bank account.
$1,000?
It's about $1,000.
So we all met at a place where, like, if you made six figures a year, you had like a bodyguard and you were like praised from the rooftops. Right. And you did that with no experience right out of the gate without a team.
Without a team.
Nice.
And that's what really motivated me to do something. I've done a lot of deals, network marketing, which I loved. To me, the training ground was incredible.
Sure.
The person I became. But you almost felt hostage because you depended. There's nothing wrong with building people, but I literally felt I was depending on those people. And here, I did that myself.
Right.
Myself, with no experience, just helping people. And so me, that was so empowering to be able to do that. I love what someone said, a friend of mine, Hunter Gray said, he says, when you say, I have something better and I'm going there with or without you, that's how I felt actually, because I was able to generate a massive amount of income for my family, regardless of whether anyone did it or not.
So we always live by the adage, like, believe in everybody, but don't count on anybody. And when you're able to make that kind of income on your own, you really are able to live that out. That's why it was so special what Joe was doing with you, because Joe was making a mid six-figure income, whether you guys started or not. So when he was calling you, it's because he cared.
Absolutely.
And that's that's why Joe's like the best recruiter in FFL, by the way. For those that don't know, Joe Miller is the best recruiter in Family Business Life.
Agreed.
What's interesting too, and just watching Mac in October and even on to November, December, January, really until convention, he also questioned himself the entire time. He kept going back to Joe. So it wasn't like he just woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm an insurance god, here I am, right? He was making that money, and we were still astounded. Every single time we saw those deposits, every single time he went out and he was like, how am I doing this? Let me figure this out. Let me do it again. The confidence, I think he's still building the confidence, but it wasn't like automatic. It turned on. He just figured, I'm going to keep asking questions, and I'm going to keep trying, keep dialing, keep buying leads, and keep going out there, and I'll figure it out eventually. And that's his attitude. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
And you just didn't stop at 15. I mean, what happened after that, Anna?
Oh, we went from 15
to
20 to 40 last March. He ended at 58.
58,000.
58,000.
Nice. And what's interesting, how has that affected your recruiting efforts? Because you are building an agency. And I will say this, if anybody doesn't know, if you guys know Mac from like 10 years ago, you understand first mover's advantage. And if I had my money on anybody that was going to build this thing to $1 million a month like yesterday, it's you guys, because I know what you can do. It's just like the lion is awake now,
100%.
And so how has that affected your recruiting efforts, your ability to go out and really build in a big way?
There's a saying that if you set yourself on fire, people will come from miles and miles to watch you burn. Yeah. And that's really what's happened. When you generate that amount of income, people have been pretty much coming at the rows. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so that's what I love about FFL is I consider the same effort that I did in my previous deals. And, what did I make? $250 max, the same effort. Yeah. I generated triple, quadruple the income. And so I say to myself, man, I mean, if those people just knew that the training that they had, it's a wonderful, wonderful stepping ground for FFL. Not only can you do it yourself, but can you imagine if you had a team? And so I actually resisted building a team for a while. And I was saying about, I was really, if I could be transparent, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was making 20 grand a month. Not sure if I want to do FFL. So like, right. How do you, and truthfully, the thing that kind of catapulted me was the confidence that I built as time went on, and I got better and better and better. So
Yeah.
it's been wonderful.
Now, there's another group of people that are probably watching this, and it's agents that already work with us. And the thing that I've been really impressed with is you are in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're able to write the volume that you write. So what does your lead strategy look like? What were some of the things that you got hung up on early on that you had to get over? And
Great question. So, I think when people get started, they have a tendency to want a certain type of lead. And for me, here's what I thought, and I'll be 100% transparent. I went for no. I remember when I started my previous deal, I was in North Dakota. And I said to myself, North Dakota is a smaller population than the bigger metropolitan cities. And I said, you know what if it doesn't work? What if people here aren't interested? Just oil and gas. And I said, you know what, I'm going to prove myself wrong. I'm going to talk to everyone in this town. And when they say, oh, no, I'll move. That was my mentality. I say, you know what? Same thing with leads. Leads are leads. These are people that requested information. I'm going to prove that FFL doesn't work. And I was almost, because I had I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I said, I'm going to prove myself right that, this isn't the deal. I just going to call every lead, go through the script, and you would be surprised. They said, yes, come over, talk to me about insurance. I said, you know what? Let me go talk to them about insurance. And
Right.
guess what? They bought.
right.
So I kept proving myself wrong every time, every
Yep.
time. So it's just a simple process. But we did age mortgage leads was what we focus on now. But initially, it was just instant internet leads.
Right.
I didn't have a certain ideal or a specific of which kind. I didn't really care. If someone filled the information out, I'm there to help. But primarily now, it's age mortgage leads wherever. There are people that have filled it out that didn't get the information, and we simply go there to fulfill that request.
Nice.
When we first started, though, it was, we would track that CRM. I'd be on it every
Oh,
hour.
I know. You guys would.
If there was,
I was like, Anna, you need to get on there early in the morning. And at like 4:05, she's like, I'm on here. I got the first 12. When should I check again? I'm like, 25 minutes.
yeah, I literally set my alarm, and every single time it went off, I'd grab on the CRM, and if there was 2 on there, we'd buy 2, and then over time, by dial day, we'd have enough to dial, but I would go on and we'd dial, or we'd purchase 4 at a time or 10 at a time, or whatever popped up in the Maricopa area, we'd grab it up.
Yeah. And what's interesting is you're talking about aged mortgage leads now. Like everybody thinks the brand new ones, the $70 ones, dude, you're buying ones for $3 and traveling to go run them.
Aged.
Love it.
Yeah.
What I love about it is, for me, the money, at some point, the money becomes so much that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
The value, I say, when you give more in use value than you get in cash value, that's when you're giving. And I've got in so many situations. Here's what I tell people: listen, I'm here to help, not hurt. If I can't help you, I promise I won't hurt you. So we go in there, we review what they have, and typically, what they have or what they're paying is not worth it. We are able to do better for them.
Yeah.
And so I love it when someone already has something. That means they see a value. Let me just review what you have, and the rest is history. And it's rare, and Anna will tell you, I'm able to go in and not help them in a situation. Very, very rare.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is you're new in insurance, and now just a few months in, you're like the expert. So how did you? A lot of people get intimidated by the product knowledge aspect of it. How did you get past that?
I think, again, we go back to, I think people have things in their life that prepares them for the present. And I keep going back to it, but my training ground was my previous company. And one of the things I learned was, if you want to succeed, you double your rate of failure.
Yeah.
Now, I told you I had that tumor. In the 2-year span, I had 5 surgeries, and I got used to surgeries. And I realized the first 30 days will suck, and I just kind of got used to the same concept here. I knew that if I can how do I succeed fast? Fail faster. So here, run your first 100 appointments as fast as possible. And over time, you get better. And even if you suck, what I love about FFL is the comp is so high, it compensates for sucking.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll still make 6 figures plus, even if you suck.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Well, I'll talk to agents, and they'll be like, man, I had such a rough week. And I'm like, tell me about it. And they'll explain it all. And I'm like, well, how many appointments did you run? Like, I ran like 10. I'm like, no, man, you had like a bad day. You just spread it out over the week.
Right.
Like,
That's true. That's so true.
You compress those, and then it's hard to have a bad week if you're doing enough activity.
Remember Anna once, I was having a tough week. I said, hey, man, I'm just having a tough week. People aren't saying yes. She goes, you've made $7,000 this week, right? I said, I have?
Exactly.
So
That's funny how that works, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I tell people that all the time because they're like, Trey, well, you started in 2014 and your agency's doing all this. And I'm like, I felt like I was failing the whole time. I just had more money in the bank, but I wasn't really ever focused on that. I was just trying to help everybody and keep it moving, And lo and behold, you look up one day and you're like, wow, this is really cool. you
Yeah.
know?
Can I throw something out there too? One of the biggest challenges for me personally was, we always say God first, family second, business third. And so many other deals, unfortunately I said that, but I put my business first. And Anna can attest to that. And that was my biggest concern jumping in. I was kind of spent, And with 10 children, we believe in God. We want to make sure we put our family first. And that was the challenge. Could I really make it work? And truth is, you can. I always love about FFL is because you govern your schedule. Now, it's still a work in progress, but, she can attest, we're making it work. We're making it work. Financially, we're providing for our family at a high level, and it gives us the chance to also be with our family, but you got to have boundaries. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit. Maybe not.
That's going to pass off.
That's a good way to pass off. Yep. But what are some of the boundaries?
I think, like he said, it's a work in progress. We're figuring it out. But I think the key, especially if you're working as a team or if you have a family or you have other obligations, would be flexibility and then non-negotiables. Of course, dial days, whatever your goals are, whatever days you set up, your dial day has to be protected, has to be non-negotiable. And even with that, buying leads, that has to be a non-negotiable. It's a business. You have to have people to talk to.
Right.
And then, your run days, if it's, you can always work your life around, we're kind of a non-traditional family. So the typical, we're very flexible, I guess you could say. So if there's a birthday party that has to be moved because, Mac's not going to be around, or we have to move this event because it's a dial day or it's a run day, we're okay with that because it's all about working together as a team. So I think those would be the balance or the boundaries, is just making sure you have your non-negotiables so your business can run, so you can make money. And then from there, you schedule your life around it, make sure that what priority is to you is put into place as well, whether that's family time or spouse time or dating time or whatever it is.
Right. Well, that's really what's in the name of Family First. And I think that's what Sean had in mind was putting your family first is actually putting the work in so that when you're with your family, you're not thinking about work all the time and all the stuff you should have been doing. 100%. You give an honest day's work so that at the end of the day, you can stop thinking about work and think about your family. The mistake everybody makes is the entire time they're with their family, they're thinking about work. And the entire time they're at work, because they didn't spend enough time with their family, they're thinking, I need to be with my family because I was just thinking about work the whole time I was with my family. Yep. So you guys have the right thing going there for sure. And what's interesting is the capacity that this stretches to as time goes by, as your team starts to grow, is pretty amazing. Because one of the values of having a team in this industry is not everybody has a bad day at the same time.
That's true.
Right.
So what are some of the things you're doing to build right now?
Now that I know that it works, which was my biggest concern, I will say this: if I had a regret, it would be I didn't start building sooner.
Yeah.
And we've all been through. We've all had our black eyes and the like. And I think I felt I had one that was a little bit bigger. I wanted to do it myself first to make sure I didn't let people down.
Right.
I knew people in my previous deal who worked hard or who they just didn't see the results they wanted. And here at FFL, you don't have to have a good train. You don't have to be a good trainer. You don't have to be good at speaking. You just have to be willing to work.
Right.
Pick up the phone, dial someone who requested the information, book the appointment, go see them. That's what I love about this. So the only discrimination is work ethic here. And so what I'm doing now is just, at a minimum, talking to 2 people a day about FFL. Yeah. Because at this point, initially I felt, well, I'm doing good, but now I feel selfish not talking to people.
Right.
I mean, you got 10 kids. We have a busy lifestyle, and we're still able to bringing such value to people's lives, get compensated for it. How many people in today's day, a pandemic, are struggling, looking for an opportunity? So I feel obligated to let people know this does exist. So I'm at least letting people know. We have, of course, ads out for people to apply for the position, and just letting my friends know, hey, this is the real deal. No smoke and mirrors.
Right.
If you work part-time, you'll make six figures. Full-time, you'll look in 300,000-400,000 because it's based on appointments. 10 appointments a week, part-time. 30 appointments a week, full-time. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
He's also taken advantage of the high level with Family First Life, that recruiting that they're doing as well.
And that's awesome.
That's awesome. Those are really good leads.
How many people you think you have in class from that?
Oh, that's a good question. Right now, I think we're getting two to five a day. We're talking them as fast as we can. So we have a recruiter. We have some employees, in which that's another thing with FFL. Who would have thought? I'm actually hiring employees. Prior to, I thought it was some kind of constraint. Oh, it's a liberator.
Yes.
It's a real business. That's
Right.
what I love. A real business that you can will and the like. So we have a recruiter doing a lot of the work and getting those people in classes.
Yeah, that was something that was a big breakthrough for me too. And I made a mistake early on because I never went out and wrote 60. And when I watch what you're doing, I'm like, man, he's so far ahead of the curve. Because if I just understood what that extra $25,000 a month in income would do and how much more quickly I could build it by having a staff and investing in the recruiting campaigns and things, who knows where it could have been. So what you're doing right now is, dude, a year from now, and you understand, be here a year from now.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we told people
10 core.
But that really is true. Like I took a lot of those principles and I applied it, and lo and behold, that mess works here. Like I literally was like, okay, I'm not going to bed unless I take two people from not knowing to knowing about
Right.
FFL. And over time, when I look back, that's turned into something just crazy over the handful of years.
Yeah.
And that real duplication happened. And what happened was so many people were making money just selling that I didn't have that churn and that turnover and constantly replacing. So I didn't have to be perfect, So, and I'm excited about what you guys are doing.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we're excited.
Anna was talking about some of the numbers. I guess if there was one thing I would say, don't look at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
It's hard to when this is a game that's built on winning. You got to look at the points. But the truth is, if you just put your heart into it.
Right.
I told the people that are getting started, if you dial X amount of leads and you don't get the appointments, I'll give you X amount of dollars. If you get X amount of appointments, if you get 10 appointments a week and you don't make money, come talk to me. There is no way you can fail. It's impossible.
Right.
If you just do the work. And Anna was talking about my appointments, and she's the numbers gal, but it was staggering. There was a time between when I got started to when January. If you could see an immediate increase in what happened. And the crazy thing about those numbers is they're the same. The only difference, I got better.
Yeah.
So you'll make great money as you are, but
Yep.
just increasing a little bit a day. It was a difference of 40%, and we always tell people, you'll get 100 leads, you'll connect with 35 to 40% of them, you'll book half, you'll sell half, and my numbers, if we look at that, it's on the spot.
Right.
On the spot.
Well, yeah, that's always been the part that people can't account for is the fact that, you'll get momentum and you'll get better as time goes. And it's just really interesting. It's fascinating how it works. So break down the numbers some more now. So over the course of time, what's it really look like?
Anna, actually, let me pose that to Anna. I got an idea, but she is the one that brought it to my attention.
So we actually, when we got back from convention, we did all of our numbers to kind of see how we compared to the Hall of Famers.
Right.
Because that's 30 appointments a week. So we were like, are we under that? Are we over that? So we can set our future goals. And he, on average, since he started in October, has sat on about 15, not sat on, he's made about 15 appointments a week since October. And that hasn't changed. That's an average. Because some weeks, like for Christmas, he took some time off. Thanksgiving, he took time off. So those weeks, there's no appointments those weeks.
Right.
And of those 15, he sits on about 60% of those.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning, he was only selling about 40%. And now he sells 60 to 80% of those.
Wow.
Again, I wasn't looking at the scoreboard. That's why I need a tracker.
Right. That's awesome. Well, the whole scoreboard thing, I think where that messes people up is you got to get out of the mindset of scarcity. There's all these people that have requested the information. And if you just literally show up, you could close the appointments by telling people you wouldn't want to buy it, would you? And then they're like, yeah, stupid. That's why you're here. And they'll buy it. And it's like we'd bought this house and we had the alarm guy come. And we knew when the alarm guy got there that we were going to buy the alarm. That's why he was there. And we basically had to cut him off and be like, no, we just want this. Stop
Right.
trying to upsell us, sell it to us and get out. We don't want to go through it again. And I wonder how many of the insurance clients, there's a portion of those, maybe 25% that are like that. So if you just,
for sure.
yeah,
For sure. I know one appointment I was setting for him, he was actually talking to me about, different types of insurance and all of that. And finally I had to do the takeaway on the phone because I needed to get to the next dial. And I was like, if you're set with what you have or you really don't think we can help you, that's fine. I can fill your slot for somebody else. I mean, he's very busy. So let me just go ahead and fill your slot. He was like, well, no. I mean, if you think he can help.
Yeah.
And I said, well, according to what we'll do our very, very best, but he has a lot of et cetera. And I went into the spiel again and closed him out and he went over and was able to help him out. But yeah, he knew exactly what he was talking about.
yeah, that's the best feeling. You haven't had a death claim yet, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Good. Well, it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, that's when it really gets real. It's an
Absolutely.
interesting thing because then you realize how much Paul McLean had one early on in the business. It was a young couple. They were in their 20s. And he had pushed them to get the extra accidental death. And people used to give us a problem over like, accidental death, I don't know, that might be worthless, whatever. This guy hits a power line with a forklift and steps on it when he gets out, and it electrocuted him. That was an accident. And that policy paid like an extra $100,000 because of it. And when he talked about the impact that had on the family, like Paul McLean's career, if he looks back, that was one of the most impactful times. That's really what made him decide that this is what he was supposed to be doing. So
Absolutely.
it does change the game.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to work with you, Mac and Anna, like how do they get a hold of you guys?
Call me directly, 480-572-4930. And of course, you can email me. I am magnificent@gmail directly, but just text me or call me.
Nice. What about you, Anna?
Text him or call him.
There you go. All right, good. I like that. That's awesome.
I'm back up. He's phenomenal to work with.
Yeah, and I'll say this: if regardless of what your background is, it's if you're willing to work, just believe. Again, it's simply about work. We
Yeah.
got you. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what you've done. We've been there, done that. We have the system. All you need to do is just bring the work. That's the only variable here.
That's right.
We got you.
See, in the past, there were other variables. It was timing. It was, it was charisma. It was all this other stuff. And I always felt like I was at a disadvantage. Like I was never going to be the most social person or the person that could, I couldn't attract a following as much, or my timing was always wrong. But what I love about this is it's blue collar. When you approach it like you work on an oil rig pregnant, if you approach it like that,
Yep.
it's impossible to fail. So, any parting shots?
I'll say this. I said it previously, but we have a busy lifestyle. We have a big family. You may be someone who's single. There are people who are single that are killing it. Whether you're 19 years old, we have leads everywhere.
Yes.
No friends and family. Don't need them. Don't need to do cold calling. No door to door. Wherever you want to go, whether it's travel, it could be a young family. But no matter the situation you are, FFL can fit because, again, you control because you have the lead. So
Yep.
No matter your situation, we're here to help you. It can work for anybody is what it kind of comes down to.
I'm glad you brought up the friends and family thing. You know how you sell the most to your friends and family? Is not have to be selling to your friends and family. When friends and family is your marketing plan, that's a scary place to be. And they
100%.
run from you. Like that was the most impactful thing for me when I started this was I was able to tell people, I do life insurance. And then they would just like keep talking to me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to come up with fancy ways to say I did life insurance without saying I was doing life insurance, And,
100%.
And all these wild things you would say when people are like, so Mac, what do you do? Well, I help independent contractors. Like, it's so nice just to be normal and make a great living for your family.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for jumping on, guys.